Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Do me a favor, guys, as you jump on, drop your city and state, like the video, share the video. Also let us know where you guys are tuning in from. Like I said, drop your city and state. This is the Blank Spot. We're a Sublimation Blanks t-shirt transfer supplier. We're located just outside of Columbia, South Carolina. And we've been out of the net for a little while because we have been on in a vending event. But we just got back today, and thankfully we were able to unload our trailer, put all of our stuff away, and I could finish a couple of things, get some stuff out. So this has to go out no later than tomorrow morning. But anyway, Grand Rising, thanks for jumping on. If you are on TikTok, don't forget, guys, to follow us on our YouTube and our Facebook, okay? Make sure you follow us on YouTube and on Facebook. Subscribe to our Facebook. Hit the bell to be notified when we go live. If you're seeing us on Facebook and our YouTube, definitely, guys, make sure you lock in because we're going to be doing more videos like this, just discussing things and have a conversation. If you haven't seen the topic, this topic is about sublimation paper, and it's not supposed to bleed. Okay, thanks for the gift. Sublimation paper is not supposed to bleed. So I'm going to share something with you that I experienced and didn't really pay attention to. We've had this heat press probably about a little over a year now, and we bought this heat press used. So we're going to talk about this heat press, how I've been using it, and how I received it when we got it, and then what changes I just made after a year of not paying attention, and then finally actually go ahead and implementing it, some changes. So drop that city and state. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Once again, this is the Blank Spot. We are a Sublimation Blank t-shirt transfer supplier located just outside of Columbia, South Carolina, man. And I'm super excited to be back on here to talk to the audience, to let people know, hey, Latrice, what's going on, to let people know what's going on, to let you guys know what we're here to do and how we can actually help you. So if you do sublimation, this is going to be really important to you to understand and know. If it's your first time on our live, type a number 1 in the comments. If it's your first time on our live, type a number 1 in the comments. Pretty soon, as we are broadcasting to our TikTok platform, pretty soon it's going to stop pushing this to the For You page. So if it starts to stop pushing it to the For You page, or if it takes the live off or whatever for whatever reason, go ahead and make sure you join us on our YouTube or our Facebook as well. We are broadcasting. Okay. So why do you constantly use sublimation paper that bleeds? Why? I'm gonna be real honest with you, and I'm gonna tell you why people who are brand new to crafting are using subpar sublimation paper. So let's talk about the bleed and why people are using sublimation paper that bleeds. And the way that they prevent the bleeding is to use butcher paper or partial paper or some type of Teflon. Well, people use subpar sublimation paper because they're not around anybody who's using different paper. Most people get started as a crafter. And as a crafter, you are learning to do things on a budget. You're looking for the cheapest product available, the lowest cost product to help you craft. But I'm gonna tell you something. You can't have cheap and quality. So at some point, you're gonna have to make a decision. Do I want to be cheap or do I want quality? Well, most people are using certain sublimation brands of paper and ink, for that matter, because the crafting group that they joined, they're using it. The administrator of the group is using it. These are people who have been crafting for years. These are people who you probably look up to, even if they are not crafting, but they may have a crafting channel. They may be a popular crafter that has been talking about crafting. They've been doing certain things. They have their own YouTube channel. They have their own Facebook page. They have their own following. And they have given you some type of inkling that they are credible. Okay, I'm about to pop some holes into a lot of stuff right now, and a lot of people are not going to like what I'm about to say. Many of you may call me a hater, but sometimes the truth sounds like hate to people who hate the truth. So you're in groups and you're listening to people who are crafting, who have some credibility. They have a large following. Maybe it's on their Facebook or their YouTube, or maybe their TikTok. And they're sharing with you the products that they're using. And it's kind of funny because they're sharing products with you that they're using. And the first thing you think and get excited about is that, man, they're sharing all this information. They're not gatekeeping. Well, maybe you ought to hope that they close the gate and lock it. Because this next conversation that I have with you about sublimation and the supplies that people are using is going to probably open your eyes to some things. See, crafters are going to use the most inexpensive, cheapest, easy to buy, discounted product out there. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. It's your money. I'm not here to count your pockets. But you cannot use cheap stuff and then go back and wonder why I'm getting cheap results. There's a group on Facebook, and I'm going to open this up because I want you guys to actually know exactly what I'm talking about. It popped up first thing. Okay. I joined this group just to watch and get some content. Once again, it's going to be some people that's going to say, hey, he hating. I don't care. Sublimation for beginners, easy tips, tricks, and tutorials, Cricut for beginners. That's the name of the group. There's a lot of people who are new to that group, new to sublimation. You're jumping in there and you're asking all kinds of questions. What's the best paper to use? What's the best ink to use? Why can't I sub on this color? Why can't I sub on that color? Why did it bleed through? Why did it this? Why did it that? You're asking a crafter about a business answer. It's quite simple when you think about it. If you are a crafter and you really don't care as long as it's cheap, you're not going to really have anything good to say about anything that's a little bit more expensive. But if you're somebody who's looking to create some additional income for yourself and your family, or maybe you want to make some things that are more of a quality, you're going to want to know what the better product is. So let's talk about sublimation. We are a sublimation blanks and t-shirt transfer supplier. We're located just outside of Columbia, South Carolina. My wife has been doing sublimation for about, I want to say about 8.5, 9 years. And I recently jumped into it about 4.5 years ago when we actually started our company. And the things that I've learned about sublimation, it's amazing. Sublimation is a science. It's an art. And most people are not successful at sublimation because they're using tricks, hacks, subpar products, things like that. But the paper is going to be very important. Of course, somebody who is in a bind or in a budget or short for time or wants to get it right now, if you can go to Walmart, if you can go to Michael's, if you can go to a store and get something off the shelf, you're happy. But what about long term? What about if you're trying to build a business or try to build a brand? Or what about if you just want to give your customers a better product? You have to do some research. You have to try different types of products. You have to try different types of products because you don't know what good is until you've compared it with something else. Does that make sense to everybody? How do we know what's better if we don't compare? And I mean, we're in the wealthiest country in the world. We tax everything and everybody. So we have access to all types of supplies and equipment and stuff like that, right? But you as a crafter saying, hey, you know what? I'm good where I'm at. This is giving me what I need, what I want. But is it really? The main reason why so many people are using sublimation paper that bleeds is because nobody ever shows them a paper that doesn't bleed. So recently, I removed the Teflon that was on here. And you guys will see a video. You can go to our Facebook, and I'll share it to other platforms as well. But there was Teflon on this press. We bought this press used. And it came with a huge sheet of Teflon on it. Not thinking, not even worrying about it. I just kept using the heat press. Every once in a while, I would get some runs. I would get some stains, some messed up places. And I didn't think about it. I just go get another shirt. We do a lot of all over 3D shirts here. Okay. Well, today, and I'm not saying I'm pressed for time, because if I was, I wouldn't be doing this video. But today I have a project that I need to finish. And I got this line going down my shirt. And I said, well, can't use the shirt. It's sublimation. Once it's dyed, it's done. Once it's dyed, it's dead. So I said, let me do another shirt. I did another shirt. I got the same line, but it was lighter. And then something made me think about looking under my heat press at that Teflon. And the Teflon that was there had a wrinkle in it, had a crinkle in it. And it also had something on it from previous time, right? So what I did was I took my cutters, I cut the spring that was holding both sides of the Teflon, and I removed it. Why did I remove the Teflon? Me talking to you all the time about our sublimation paper, how great it is, how you don't need a butcher paper, how you don't need Teflon, how this, how that. Me not thinking the person that sold us this heat press with the Teflon on it, they weren't using our paper because our paper doesn't bleed. So I removed the Teflon and threw it in the trash because our paper doesn't bleed. I don't need to cover it. I don't need to protect anything on here because it doesn't bleed. It dawned on me. People are using Teflon and coverings and butcher paper and partial paper because the paper bleeds. So now, when you talk about why people use subpar products, it's because people are building on a budget instead of setting a budget and building within a budget. That's one of the things. Okay? If you're just jumping on, before you say anything on my post, before you say anything on my live, introduce yourself. That is the blank spot way. So we got Pandora on here, Tamara, Michelle, Paula D, Latrice, Ray the Rapper, Rich, Doris. Y'all drop y'all cities and states if y'all haven't done so. Let me know y'all are tuning in from. Sublimation paper that does not bleed does not need a cover sheet. Sublimation paper that does not bleed does not need butcher paper. Sublimation paper that does not bleed doesn't need parchment paper or Teflon. As a matter of fact, if your paper bleeds, I recommend you don't even use Teflon because it's going to bleed up. And then when you press again, it's going to bleed down off the Teflon, right? But the key to a no bleed paper, the key to stopping the bleed is to change your paper. That's the key. Okay. The key to not having to use more supplies is to change your paper. So if you guys just jumping on, this is a business and you're going to hear me talk about our paper. Belize, okay, what's going on? Texas, all right. So now you're going to hear us talk about our paper because this is a business. And we think that we have the best paper on the market. And if you don't believe it, all you have to do is try it. But the problem is you got so much of the other crap in your, and I'm going to be very direct. You got so much of the other crap in your craft room on your business shelves, and you just can't part with it. You got so much of the other paper that you're saying, hey man, I can't bear to part with this because I bought this. But you're still going to keep on buying. You're going to still keep on buying butcher paper. You're going to still keep on buying parchment paper. You're going to still keep on buying things to cover your projects up just because you don't want to change papers. So someone said, hey, what's a good paper that doesn't bleed? Well, the paper that we use and we carry is the blank spot sublimation paper. Now this paper is available. This paper is available in 4 different sizes. That's on sale. It's 4 different sizes in the packs that's on sale. 8.5 by 11, 11 by 17, 8.5 by 14, and 13 by 19. And they're 30% off right now. Okay, 30% off. So we do have paper rolls, and we also have 8.5-inch paper rolls, 13-inch paper rolls, and 24-inch paper rolls. So make sure when you go and shop with us, you read the description. Here's the point that I want to make, and I want to drive this home. The reason why you have not tried a different product is because you're not hanging around people with different mindsets. In these crafting groups, they are telling you and sharing with you how to save money. And you're excited because you're saving money. But I'm going to ask you a real serious question. Does anybody know how much a roll of butcher paper costs? Or how much are you spending on parchment paper, on sheets? Every extra cost costs you money. All because you want to hold on to that ankle weight. All right. So that's something that you got to consider. That's something that you got to consider as you say, hey, I like what I'm doing. I'm happy with what I'm doing right now. I don't want to change anything. I'm good. But are you really? Are you really good? It's going to keep on costing you money. It's going to keep on costing you money because you keep on needing to buy more stuff to use your paper. So Jerry, as you're dropping prices, wow. I can't believe Jerry's on here. I don't even know who Jerry is, but Jerry doesn't look like he's a part of our network or our group. So I don't know why Jerry's dropping prices. But I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure why Jerry's dropping prices, but I'm gonna have to tell Jerry that he has to go, because anyone who's dropping prices while we're talking about our business, that's not really professional. Okay, this isn't a congregational live. Okay, it's not a congregational live where you get to say, hey, if you want to do that, go into one of those Facebook groups where they're actually just sharing all this information. What we're doing is talking about our products. All right. The topic is sublimation paper isn't supposed to bleed. And a lot of people don't understand or know that because you're not getting that information. The reason why you're just trying this paper is because people are telling you to do it. Like I said, you've connected with someone who's doing crafting. They've got a large following. They're showing you how to do all these things, the DIY channels and all that stuff. And that's great. And it's even as you try a inexpensive paper, that's good because it's good for your pockets. But what do you do if you want to advance and step it up? I mean, do me a favor. Type a number 2 in the comments. Type a number 2 in the comments if you think, be honest. Type a number 2 in the comments if you think that all sublimation paper needs to have a covering. Give me that number 2. If you think that if you think or thought that you just had to cover your products with sublimation paper. I mean, you had to cover your sublimation products. You always used it. So now, if you always used it, I'm sure you probably always used it because your paper is always bled. Thanks for the gift. I'm sure you've always used it because your paper is always bled. Have you ever considered trying a paper that doesn't bleed? Thanks for the gift. See, here's the options. Here's the options that are given. You're told in the beginning, you just got started with sublimation. And you're told that, hey, if you're going to do sublimation, one of the steps that you have to use is that you have to have some type of butcher paper to cover it up. Okay. That's what you're told. But that's not true. All right. So we got somebody possibly coming up. Yep. Give me a second. Let me okay. I remember you, young lady. How you doing?
In my warehouse situation, and actually a question I had was about I wanted to make if you had any suggestions about how I might be able to do some sublimated patches. I can't embroider. I'm here at my studio. I'm a home sewist and a podcaster, and I want to make some of these patches, but I don't want to embroider them. I want to use sublimation, but I also don't want to stitch out all the base for the patch myself. I just want to sublimate in the center of a stitched circle or a rectangle or something. Do you have any products like that or recommendations for where I could buy blank patches that I could sublimate on?
So while you're here, go ahead and introduce yourself. Keep talking. I'm going to go to the warehouse, and I'll be right back.
It's Lisa from Black Women Stitch and the Stitch Please podcast. The Stitch Please podcast centers and celebrates Black women, girls, and femmes in stitching. I do a lot of sewing, and I also incorporate sublimation into my sewing by sublimating on fabrics that I sew. I make like my outfits. I'll make my own garment labels. I have made my own garment labels for years. So much so that the stuff I make for my family, I'll put the date that I made it. So then when they're going back, so when my kids were little, I put their names in it so they knew which was which boys or whatnot. But right now, the kids are grown. A lot of my sewing is more for myself, and I'm kind of like getting into that kind of creativity. So, okay, cool. So is that something I can find at the warehouse?
Yes.
Okay, I will look under the blanks column. I'll look there.
Just search patches. The other ones are going to come up as well. The Chenille patches are going to come up as well. But you can type in possibly sublimation patches. But we do have Chenille patches, which are heat transfer patches. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
so check out those heat transfer
great.
patches as well, because you may see something that you want.
Okay. All right. I will do that. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to look right into that because I have a project that I'm working on. I think it'd be perfect. Thanks for letting me come up. Thank you for all the teaching and education you do. I didn't know you had your own paper, so it's been a while since I've seen you.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm gonna give it a try.
So watch this. Watch this, and I know you got to go. We've had our own paper for about 3.5 years. However, and we don't advertise it every day, but we advertise it. Right now, it's 30% off. Here's the deal. In order for a small business such as ourselves to get an actual product out there, we need the assistance of our customers and also our clients.
Yes.
Here's the other issue or concern. We're not in competition with any other company.
Right.
However, we are in competition with the attention of a customer. So if we're not dangling a price tag that says cheap on top of it, most of our customer base are crafters.
Yes.
So now the paper that most people use versus the paper that we have, our paper is going to be a little bit more. Now it's not because it's on sale. But our paper normally is a little bit more, maybe $1 or $2 more than that inexpensive paper.
Right.
You got to think about paper, GSM, the weight, right?
Yes.
The way it accepts the ink, and then also the way it releases the ink. Yeah. So we have paper rolls as well. If you guys have a larger printer or you have a larger project and you want to do a paper roll, our rolls are tacky, but they work great for graduation stoles. Or if you just want to piece something together instead of getting a large gang sheet print or a large transfer print, we offer that as well. But mostly people are not going to want to try something new because for them it's not an investment.
Right. But I think sometimes crafters, at least for myself, and I guess it depends on what you're, sometimes things that are cheap can be very expensive.
Oh yeah, because that's it. Now you're talking about the measure once, cut twice rule.
That
And we have people who will go all the way across town. They'll spend gas, they'll spend time, they'll dig through stuff to save $2, but spending $5.
Yes.
And once again, I'm here as an advocate, not just as a business owner, but as an advocate to anybody who's new, to let them understand, hey, listen, there are options out there. These things are not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to have to use a piece of butcher paper on top of your sublimation transfer. You're not supposed to have to protect that heat press because your paper is bleeding through the back. See, the ink is sublimating in reverse. I never used this before. And I'm gonna use this name because I've already done it. It's on our website. A-Sub paper is a very popular paper. As a matter of fact, if you go online on their website, it's the #1 selling brand in North America. Now, watch this. When you sublimate, and I did a video, I sublimated with our paper versus A-Sub paper. Thanks for the gift.
Yes.
You're going to see two things. When you print your image onto the A-Sub paper, it's going to appear to be vibrant. That's an illusion because, first of all, your sublimation prints are not supposed to be vibrant. They're supposed to look dull. The second deception, and I'm using these words very clearly. I'm not going to backtrack. The second deception is when you press, your ink is supposed to transfer to your substrate, not to your heat press.
Yes.
So part of your ink is going to your shirt, part of your ink is going to your heat press, and the rest of the ink is staying on the paper.
Okay.
So do a comparison, and you'll see.
I'm looking forward to it. I ordered a variety, so it comes with the 4 different sizes.
Yeah.
And that'll work for me because I've got a printer my Max printer is. It's one of those Epsons. It's not a giant one, but it does do the 13 by 19.
You converted to Epson?
Yeah, one of those. I forgot what it was called. You know the one I'm talking about.
Is it a 7720 or 7710 or the Workforce?
It is a Workhorse. ET 8550.
Okay, 8550. So you have a photo printer.
Yeah,
I have one over here. I'm actually working on right now for our son. So yeah, so that's gonna make a difference. It's definitely gonna make a difference.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I always learn something when I stop and listen to your videos. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you for showing me about that patch. I'm gonna get in there and do some ordering. So thank you.
Absolutely, you're welcome. If you got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Okay.
Will do. Bye, everybody.
You have a great day. So we're talking about sublimation, and we're talking about the paper, guys. Listen, sublimation paper is not supposed to bleed. Okay, your A-Sub paper doesn't reverse. All ink is on the substrate. I'm not gonna go back and forth with you. Okay, I'm not gonna go back and forth with you because you like A-Sub. I'm just telling you what I do and what I've done, and it does not. The ink does not. I'm not gonna even. As a matter of fact, I did a video on our YouTube. The video's on TikTok. If you're that passionate about somebody else's brand, by all means, keep on being passionate. However, it's not a lie. It's not a joke. If your A-Sub paper does not sublimate in reverse, and I said that as a joke, but that's what's happening. If your ink is touching your heat press because it's bleeding through the top of the paper, then yes, it's sublimating in reverse, and you still have ink on your actual piece of paper. Because you don't have anything else to compare it to that's better, then of course you're gonna justify your purchase. And this is another thing. So I'm not gonna spend any time on that. This is another thing. Most people are wanting to feel like that they're making the best purchase. See, we were taught to go to school, make good grades, and get a good job. We were also taught to consume. We were not taught to be producers. We were taught to consume. So over the years, we have learned how to spend our money. But what we have not done is learn how to do some comparison shopping. If you started with a product and it's giving you what you think it needs, have you tried another product to actually, compare them? That's called product comparison. People do it all the time. So we compare prices, but we don't compare products. And the problem is, people are not open-minded. So your question is, you say you have a few printers and you've used a lot of papers. What paper do I suggest? I'm suggesting ours. Matter of fact, you know what? I challenge you to do this. This is what I challenge you to do. I challenge you to purchase our paper. It's 30% off. Okay. Purchase our paper. You can find how to shop with us because everything's in the description. Purchase our paper. It's not going to be a waste of time. Okay. For larger printers, yes, I understand we have 13 by 19 as well. Purchase our paper, print your image with our paper, and then print your image with your paper, with your A-Sub paper. You don't even have to purchase the whole pack. You can get a sample pack. Now the sample packs are not on sale, but there's sample packs. You can actually use a sample pack. Use a sample pack. Print with yours and print with mine. 44-inch rolls. We're not selling our 44-inch rolls. You can purchase those on your own. I mean, we're not selling our 44-inch rolls. But at the end of the day, if you're using A-Sub 44-inch rolls, I recommend you go to a vendor and find a paper that's not bleeding. Because I guarantee you got something up here. I just took mine off. So, yeah, we have 44-inch rolls for personal use. As a matter of fact, we got about 30 of them back there, and they're being used. The whole idea is I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. Not saying that's what you're asking me to do. I'm here to talk to people about why they should not be using paper that bleeds. I'm here to advertise our business and talk about our product and our services. Paper should not bleed. That's not a norm. When people think that that's a norm, then we start thinking that other things are normal as well. Okay? Like pressing at 400 degrees for 60 seconds. We think that's normal. It's not normal to press hot and long. Your paper should give you a high transfer rate. Your paper should not bleed. Your paper should not be so excessively heavy. Okay? There goes the first warning, guys, on TikTok. So I'm gonna start losing some views. That's okay. I'm cool with that. I haven't said anything. I hadn't said anything out of the normal, unless somebody got mad. I don't know. There's some haters out there. But yeah, so your paper shouldn't bleed. It shouldn't. That's not normal. That's just like saying, hey, I got to push my vehicle before I actually start it. That's not normal. So somewhere in your sublimation journey, you have learned that it's okay that the paper that you're using is bleeding. And it's just not okay. And that's why I'm here, to tell you that you have options. You have choices. The choice is to go and find a paper that doesn't bleed. Because every time you have to use a paper, you have to protect your garment, then there's a problem. There's an issue. See, the problem is not going to be an issue when you're doing a heat press or a tumbler press. If you're using it for tumblers, it's never going to be an issue because your tumbler's already wrapped up. The issue you're going to have is when you're using sublimation and you're doing center prints, and you put that paper on your substrate. You're doing center prints, and now you've got that bleed on your substrate. That's the issue. And so now that's going to be a problem. You won't see it. You won't see it if you're doing 3D images or all over images because you have a larger printer. You won't see that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be honest with you. You are not going to be our main target audience. I've talked to my wife about selling our paper. The biggest issue with selling a 44-inch roll paper is shipping. People are not going to want to pay for that. So we have to make it make sense. See, if we were Epson or JP, was it Johnson's Plastic, customers wouldn't have an issue with it because they say, hey, that's a real company. And they're charging real shipping prices. Or they may be able to cut the cost because they're a larger company. We can't afford to do that. Let's see. Yeah, the sheet inside is a pain. Yeah, putting that extra sheet inside is a pain in the behind. So the reason why we're here, guys, is two things. Our sublimation paper is on sale, 30% off. We are rebranding. So that's why our paper's on sale, not because our paper's bad or we're going out of business, because we're not. But we're taking our paper to a different level. All right. Once again, we're not in competition with another brand, but we are going to compare with other brands. We're not in a competition with the other brand. We're competing for customers because customers like cheap stuff. And that's, hands down, you can't deny that. If anybody has an opportunity to buy something inexpensive, then what's going to happen is they're going to choose that opportunity to do so. I can't be mad at somebody. But educationally, you guys need to know that sublimation paper is not supposed to bleed. So now what happens is you've done a sublimation project. You've done maybe a center print. Let's consider this as a sublimation shirt and this is a center print image. And you're doing different size images. Maybe you have a child shirt and then you maybe have an adult shirt. That means that every time you pull your heat press down, it's going to hit in a different spot. If you don't use that butcher paper or parchment paper to protect your image, to protect your heat press, then what's going to happen is you do a different shirt, a different size shirt on the center print. What's going to happen is you're going to have that bleed on your fabric. You're going to have that bleed on your pillowcase. You're going to have that bleed on your shirt. You're going to have that bleed on your keychain, whatever it is that you're pressing. See, the whole idea is when you're doing sublimation, once again, that paper is supposed to release that ink to the substrate. It's not supposed to release the ink to the top of the heat press. So let me ask you guys a question. If you're using a paper that bleeds, have you ever pressed using your heat press and then looked at your cover sheet, your butcher paper, to see that image? Have y'all ever done that before? Talk to me, y'all. Let me know. Because I want you guys to pay attention the next time you sub something. I want you to pay attention the next time you decide to do it. Because it's going to be important, guys. It's going to be important that you understand how this thing is supposed to work versus how they are telling you how it's supposed to work. Fancy says, yes, I have. And you see that transfer, right? It drives you nuts. Well, listen, it no longer has to drive you nuts if you buy our paper. You purchase our paper, it don't have to drive you nuts anymore. But here's the thing. John said, yeah, before I started using your paper. Appreciate that, John. Here's the thing. And here's a fact. The fact is that, like I said, most people have they've stocked up on that paper that bleeds. So now it doesn't make any sense for you to part with that paper. I'm going to use all this paper. This is what I hear, guys. Y'all with me? I'm going to use all that paper before I go look for a better paper. Before I go look for a better paper, I'm just going to use all this paper. So what I really hear you saying is, I'm going to continue to put out subpar stuff because I don't want to waste any more money. But let me ask you this question. Thanks, Darlene. I appreciate it. Let me ask you this question. Once again, how much butcher paper or parchment paper do you have to buy to protect your heat press? Because you're six in one hand, half dozen in another. You're saying, I don't want to buy another paper and try it out to see if it doesn't bleed. But then you're saying, hey, I'm just going to keep on buying cover sheets to protect my heat press. That adds up. You don't have to believe me. It does add up. So I want you guys to think about that. The things that's being told to you in these Facebook groups, the things that's being told to you by these super duper hyped up crafting groups and crafters, the things that's being told to you and that's being shared, I want you to understand something. Most people who are sharing their links, most people who are sharing their affiliate links, it's an affiliate link, y'all. They're sharing it because they're getting paid. They know that there's better paper out there. They know that there's a better option out there. But it's kind of funny that they have a large following and people trust them, and these companies are paying them to share their information, and they're basically selling out for the money. Yeah, we want to get paid, but how do you feel? How do you really feel promoting something that's garbage. Let's be honest. If I were to come on here, or my wife were to come on here and to promote our products, knowing good and doggone well that they were subpar, at the best subpar, how would you feel about us? As a smaller business, we would get chewed up to shreds. We would get torn up as a smaller business. But as a well-known company, it's okay. Nobody, will anybody disagree with me? Will anybody challenge that? If we were offering you subpar products, y'all be trying to cancel us. Tell me I'm wrong. Because we live in this cancel culture where we accept BS. We live in this cancel culture. We accept this junk from these companies to include projects like this. We will definitely talk about another company if they're a small business. But I don't hear anybody saying, hey, I mean, you don't have to promote our business. We appreciate you guys telling somebody about us. But I haven't heard anybody say, hey, yeah, I'm using this type of paper, and this paper's garbage. I didn't realize how bad this paper was. But let it be a smaller company like ours and sell you some garbage. We'll make the headlines. We would make the news, guys. And it's because we accept things that we think that we can't control. I'm just being honest, man. I'm being real. So whether you agree or not, whether you want to try it or not, I'm just here to share with you that sublimation paper is not supposed to bleed. And if you're currently using a sublimation paper where you have to use parchment paper, butcher paper, or some type of cover to protect your heat press from bleeding, then I want you guys to understand something. You have to know and understand that there are options. There are options. There's other things out there. Thank you. I appreciate it. There's other things out there. Whether you decide to invest and try something new, or whether you decide to stay with it. Don't get mad if you got to keep using butcher paper because you never changed your paper. We don't do shirts. We don't do onesies. We don't do onesies. Our minimum is 4, but you can message me. Our minimum shirt order has to be 4. That's the minimum. But you can message me and I'll let you know how to order. So while we're on here, I know there's going to be some people that have some questions. Any questions about sublimation paper? Just so you guys know, there are 7 essential things that's going to make your sublimation project pop. Okay? One of them, once again, you won't know unless you actually do it. But one of them is going to be your printer. Most crafters are using converted printers. Now, there's nothing wrong with a converted printer, especially if you tweak the colors. If you understand how to tweak the colors and get them as close as possible, there's nothing wrong with a converted printer. Okay? Nothing at all. But most people don't understand that you're not going to get the same colors that you're going to get with an actual sublimation printer. It could be me. Let me see. It could be me a while before I made the change, but I'm glad I did. All right, that's what's up. I'm glad you made the change too. I want y'all to understand something. Sublimation printer is going to help your project pop. Your sublimation paper does matter. I don't care what anybody tells you. Once again, I did a video on it's one on TikTok that I did a video sharing with you comparing our paper to A-Sub paper. And all I did was a comparison. And it showed a couple of things. The A-Sub image was very vibrant before I pressed it. Ours was not. It was dull. When I pressed the images, I put a piece of butcher paper over the A-Sub image. I didn't put any butcher paper over ours. Actually, I put it on there so you guys can see that side bled and that side didn't. So I correct that. But then when you look at our transfers, our image on the blank spot sublimation paper looked like a negative, completely gone. And the A sub paper, it had all that ink on it, plus some ink bled to the top. The difference is clear. The colors on the actual transfer that I use were totally different. The difference is clear. Matter of fact, I wonder if I had it. Here it is right here. Is it? Don't tell me I got it. Yep. Y'all won't believe me. Y'all won't believe me. I wish that young lady was on here before. That was on here before. I'm gonna show you guys here. Okay. You may not be able to see it. In person, you can definitely see it. I want you to look at the browns. I want you to look at the colors. One brown is darker than the other. The darker brown is our paper. The darker brown is our paper. I want you to look at the hats. The darker hat is our paper. You're going to get two different results. Look at that. Look at that face. Check that out. There's a difference that your customers won't notice, but you definitely will. And that difference is because one of the papers, the ink, the paper is receiving the ink much better and it's releasing the ink much better. The other one is not. So all I do is tell you go in there and try it, right? But anyway, that's all I want to come on here and tell you guys. They're totally different. I don't know how well you can see it on here, but they're totally different. But I just came on here to tell you guys, sublimation paper is not supposed to bleed. You take it from me, or you can take it from yourself when you do your own comparison. But if you never compare, you'll never know. You see, when I first started with A-Sub, I had extra ink left on the paper. I thought it was a great thing. One print, two presses. Oh man, learned better. Thank you. You're right. Yeah, that's what people think because they want to use it again. I used you some products. Always came out great. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, dollars and cents. You can definitely see the difference. All right. So that's the thing. So guys, do your own price comparison. Like I said, our paper's on sale, 30% off of all of our packs. 8.5 by 11, 8.5 by 14, 11 by 17, and 13 by 19. We'll be back on later on. Let me see. I love HTV Runt paper, but it always bleeds. All that paper gonna bleed. I know of two paper that don't bleed. I know two papers that don't bleed, and ours is one of them. Just saying. I'm just saying. So check it out. Take advantage of the sale. We are getting that paper off the shelf because we are going to rebrand our paper, our whole packaging. We're going to do a whole bunch of stuff to that paper. We're going to rebrand it, and then we're going to push it hard, okay? So if it's your first time here, make sure it's not your last time. Make sure you go to our social media platforms and follow us. Like and share. We're on here every day, Monday through Friday, when we are available. We just came from an event, so we weren't here this morning, and we weren't here on Friday. However, we will be going live on a regular basis. So make sure you guys are in tune, in touch, and locked in. We're not here to lie to you. We're here to be an advocate for you because somebody's trying to get you to buy their stuff. Somebody's trying to get you to buy something from them because they're affiliates. These are our products. This is ours. And we know what type of work went into it. Okay. ATV Marketing, thanks for jumping on. We know what goes into our products. We know how it looks. We know how it's supposed to work. We're not sitting there just dangling an affiliate link out there saying, hey, if you are a creator and you got a lot of followers, become an affiliate, and as much garbage as you can share and sell of ours, then we'll pay you money. This is quality. Now, I sound like I'm hating. I am a little bit right now, but this is quality. All right. So it's up to you how you decide that you want to live and who you want to follow and what you want to do. But I'm guaranteeing you, there's going to be a new crafter that comes behind you. Okay. It's going to be a new crafter that comes behind you. And what's going to happen is they're going to ask you, what paper should I use? Or what's the best paper out there? And you're going to be doing them an injustice, a disservice, if you tell them to go get a paper that bleeds. You're going to say, hey, go get this paper. Go get some butcher paper too, because you got to protect your heat press because the paper bleeds. They're crafting. They don't have that money. They don't have it. They're on a budget. So take advantage of the sale, 30% off till it's gone. And then, we'll let you guys know what's going on tomorrow. Make sure you lock in with us. I may be back on later on today. I'm going to go ahead and knock these shirts out. Mia, thanks for jumping on. Like I always say, guys, when you know better, that's when you have the ability to do better. And the only knowledge that's powerful is properly applied knowledge. I'll see each and every one of you guys at the top because there are too many people struggling at the bottom. Peace.